I'm Timea, and thank you for watching Tech Support. Today we'll be talking about capturing motion on your DSLR. As a photographer, you will sometimes want to take various action shots that either blur or freeze the action. By manipulating the exposure, you can make water seem like it's in continuous motion, for example, or have action that is frozen in the frame. Exposure consists of three elements: aperture, ISO, and shutter speed. Traditionally, the ISO refers to the film sensitivity to light, but now that we use digital cameras, it refers to the sensitivity of the light sensor in the digital camera. On the Canon Rebel series, the ISO ranges from 100 to 6400. The higher numbers make the photo appear lighter, and the lower numbers make the photo appear darker. It's best to keep in mind, though, that the ISO is software managed, meaning tampering with its settings too much will give the photo an artificial feeling. The aperture is the opening of the lens, and they are measured in f-stops or f-numbers. The lower the number, the wider the opening of the lens. Various lenses have a different range of apertures, so it's best to pick one that fits for the elements you are shooting in. The shutter speed is the amount of time the shutter is open while the camera takes the picture. To get motion blur, you will need a shutter speed that is slower, between 200th of a second and 30th of a second. It might take some experimenting to find a shutter speed that fits your setting. To freeze the action, you will need a faster shutter speed, between 4,000th of a second and 500th of a second. To achieve the best photos, a tripod will be of excellent use to avoid handheld camera shake. For this, you will want your camera in manual mode. Press the ISO button up top, and then select your ISO. Next to your shutter button, you can scroll through the various aperture sizes. Using the same button, you can also set your shutter speed. For this tutorial, the examples for freezing or blurring motion have been displayed using a waterfall. There are two different effects that are the goals of long or short exposures. One freezes the action, the other has motion blur. This first photo has an ISO of 100, an f-stop of 20, and the shutter speed is 1/10 of a second. This next photo has an ISO of 800, an f-stop of 22, and a shutter speed of 1/200th of a second. For this different angle, the ISO is 100, the f-stop is 22, and the shutter speed is 1/10 of a second. And lastly, for this frozen action shot, the ISO is 400, f-stop is 13, and the shutter speed is 1/200th of a second. When the action is frozen, the individual droplets of water are visible, whereas the motion blur gives the water a more graceful sense of movement. The frozen action also demonstrates the sheer force of the waterfall, while the motion blur shows the continuous flow of water. However, both techniques illustrate the large amount of water that is passing by. This was Timea. Thank you for watching Tech Support. Good luck with your project.